Hi folks. Yeah, I saw some sad news on BBC Football. Gianluca Vialli died today. Only aged 58. Yeah. He played for Chelsea. And whenever I saw him interviewed, such a lovely person. He always come across as such a lovely person. Whenever I saw him interviewed, which was quite often. Yeah. And a great forward. Fantastic striker. Yeah. Well, I was thinking earlier about the ridiculous situation at Man United where, you had, I mentioned before, Rashford, who for a season and a half played like a second division quality forward. Yeah, he was absolutely blinking awful. And he knew he was awful. And yet he didn't really do anything about it. Yeah, and now we have Sancho, who I just learned today that Man United have basically sent him over to Holland to train under some players at, I think, Ajax. But basically they're having to pay for these other coaches to train him because they can't figure out what to do with him at United, obviously. They can't figure out how to get him back to playing in the way he did. And yeah, as I say, we have players the quality of Gianluca, who was a superb forward, superb striker, who wasn't paid anywhere near the same amount, and yet gave his all, week in, week out, week in, week out. Gave 100% plus every time he went out there. Didn't leave anything out on the pitch. And yeah, we have the players of today who put in 40%, and they think that's fantastic. They think that, oh, absolutely brilliant, I put in 40%. Wow, look at me, I'm wonderful. Yeah, pay me £200,000 a week for that. And it's like, no. No. I mean, my sympathies would be more to them if they're being paid pretty much the same amount of wages as everyone else. If they're being paid £2,000 a week, even at that, I mean, that's still a high amount of money. But for an entertainer, that's probably about the same level. I just watched something earlier talking about a teenage girl group called TLC, I think it is, who sold 10 million albums or 10 million records worldwide, and yet were broke because their record company basically took all the money. And they, like football players, are entertainers. So most entertainers don't get a huge amount of money. Only the top, only the best of the best of the best of the best of the best get a huge amount of money. But most don't, because even the ones who fill out massive stadiums, who's the one booking that? Who's the one paying for everything? It's usually the record company, and they want all that money back. So yeah. Are there many top artists who get 200 grand a week, anywhere near that much? No. Not in any way, shape or form. It's sickening to see how much football players demand and how much they get. It's just ridiculous. Certainly, if you're a young person and if you want to be on the gravy train in the future, then look at that area. Although, I wouldn't look at it for too long simply because it's going to crash, I think. It has to, doesn't it, really? So, yeah. But, so the likes of Sancho, to me, no. If you're getting £200,000 a week, then you've got money. You've got money to pay for your own coaching if the club can't help you. Apparently he got rid of all his social media. Well, good. They should be advised by their advisors to not go on social media at all. For goodness sake, even if you are the best of the best of the best of the best of the best, you shouldn't go on social media. Because you're going to get abused on there. Anyone who's famous, certainly anyone who's earning that sort of money, For goodness sake, there are going to be people that want to take a pot at you. Obviously. Don't have a social media account, for goodness sake. It's so utterly bloody stupid. Really is. But I must have comment on something earlier when they were talking about it. Just saying, well, part of the problem is Rashford was doing this last season. And, for about 18 months. But the fans sort of put up with it because Rashford came through the system. He had actually done the work to come through the system and come through into the first team. And he sort of paid his dues. Sancho has not. See, he doesn't get the same degree of grace and mercy that was shown to Rashford. That is true. That is true. And he can't expect it. He's came from Dortmund, and I think there's about 80 million. Was it about that much that he came for? Which is not that much, really. Not that much at all. But he was doing really well at Dortmund. The problem is he went into a Man United team with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager. Okay. But then again, he should be having a word with his agent saying, why on earth did you try and persuade me to sign for this club while Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the manager? You got a manager who has no idea about football. I come into that, of course my confidence is going to be shot. When the manager has no idea how he wants us to play football, how am I supposed to play football? How am I supposed to play well for that? He should have a go at his agent for that, because his agent didn't do him a favour. It would have been wiser and better for his agent to do that at a later stage. Maybe once Ole had gone. Now would be a good time. But while Rashford has improved under Ten Hag, Sancho got worse. He did, because under Radnick, Sancho was actually one of our better players. For a time at least. He was the one who seemed to react to Radnick coming and got better. And then we have Ten Hag, who's basically wants to play in a similar way to Radnick, and Sancho gets a damn sight worse. No forward runs anymore. Simple, pass it back, and look as if you've never played football before. Look as if you're a deer in the headlights. And it's like, obviously he's got things he needs to sort out, but as I say, to me, if you're being paid a huge amount of money, which they are, then I would expect you, as a person being paid a huge amount of money, to use your money that you're still taking from the club. I mean, even now, he's been sent over to Holland to train because of the fact they can't do anything with him at United. And he's still raking in all that money. Even though he hasn't played since before the World Cup, and it doesn't look like he's going to play in the near future, he's still getting a huge amount of money each week to train. And to train in Holland, where they're also paying the coaches. Now, to me, the club should be taking that money for the coaching out of his money. The problem is all these players, they get pampered so much. And the understanding is they should be pampered. But players like Gianluca Vialli never got pampered. Yet they still played fantastic football on a weekly basis. But they weren't pampered. They had to get on with it. It was a job. It was a job they enjoyed. It was a job they loved. And they knew that if they wanted better contracts, if they wanted, to see, better clubs in the future, to play for better clubs, they had to play better. They had to train harder. They had to work on the things they weren't very good at. You don't necessarily see a lot of that in players nowadays, because they get all the rewards way too early. You imagine if you went to work for a company, you went to work in a factory, and you got a sign-on bonus of a huge amount of money, and you got wages of, you got a 5-year contract, guaranteed, right? Unless you did something absolutely awful, you got a 5-year contract, and you're getting paid 40 grand a week. Would you even? If you're not doing well, would it bother you? No, because you're getting paid a huge amount of money and they can't sack you. That's how it is for the footballers. As I say, in a normal job, Sancho would have been fired. He would have been fired. He'd be fired now. If you're in a company, you wouldn't be sending a worker who's absolutely useless to another company to be trained, would you? You'd fire him, you'd go and get someone else and train that person who you can train. Not in football. Yeah. So, sorry to people like Sancho, but you are going to get a lot of stick. Because you live in a world where at the moment people are struggling to pay bills, and you're getting paid a huge amount of money for really producing nothing. You're an entertainer who can't entertain right now. And yet you still want the wages of that sort of entertainer. Yeah. It bites a bit more now that people are struggling, I suppose. So anyway, we have a game tonight, Man United against Everton in the FA Cup. Yeah. I don't think Sancho would be playing on that one. No. But this is the sort of game where he should be playing, really. Yeah. But there you go, he won't be. So, yeah. Well, now we've also got a situation where Alanga is in that situation now. Because last year he was a golden lad, wasn't he? Really. Yeah, he was playing brilliantly last year. He was the one that everyone wanted. And yet now? No. Now he's fallen out of favour very, very quickly because he's not performing. Yeah, he's struggling to perform. Yeah. Again, I mean, yeah. I play football, but I play football at a very, very low, very, 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 very low level compared to these people. But for me, I could go out and I'll play the same each week. No different. I'll play to the level of my ability each week. Boom, 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 boom. Now, if these professional players can't do that, they're not good enough. They can't be in that arena. That's the thing. That's why even now, Rashford has improved, but I still have no faith in him. The reason why I have no faith in him is because of the fact that for a year and a half, he was incredibly inconsistent and incredibly poor. And it didn't seem to bother him enough to do anything about it. Or even to apologise to the fans when that ended. Yeah. And so, yeah. I expect for him to be inconsistent again. I expect for his form to drop, and when it drops, for him to take about a year to get it back again. Yeah. Well, that's why, for me, with Rashford, I think you can play at this level. So there's no excuses because you can do it. With Sancho, it's the same, really. You can do it because you did it in Germany. So you can do it. Yeah, if you need to be, cuddled and all that sort of stuff, then buy yourself a cuddler. Yeah. Hire someone who will cuddle you on a regular basis. Yeah. Then when life gets difficult, you can have a hug from that person. Yeah, don't expect your manager who's got all this other stuff to do that. But as for Alanga hasn't proved himself. One season? No. You get a lot of one-season wonders, especially at big clubs, especially at United. who do seem to produce players who can do it for a season, but then not for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah. We've had a history of players who come through who look as if they could be the next George Best, the next Ryan Giggs, and they never are. Yeah, so, yeah. Elanga has to prove he's not that he is different, that he can be that. And he's got this season to do it. I don't think he'll have longer. No, if you've only had one season where you've done it, I don't think you're going to be given too long to prove that that really is you and that you can do it on a regular basis. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. We'll see what happens in the game tonight. Yeah. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Enjoy. Bye-bye.